What's up and welcome. This is me, you, and Switch 2. I'm me, Tom Tate, and you are you, so let's talk about Switch 2. This is your source for the latest Nintendo Switch 2 news. We're going to keep things short and sweet. 5 to 10 minute episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Today is Friday. It is September 26th. It is currently 8:43 a.m. I'm getting a little bit of a later start. We had donuts with Dad at my kids' school today. Donuts with Dad. Good times. Good times. I hope you had a great week. There's so much to play right now on Switch 2. So if you didn't get a ton of gaming time in this week, here's to a relaxing and recharging weekend. We are so close. We've got a lot to cover today. First up, Doug Bowser, who is the current Nintendo of America president and chief operating officer, and he's been kind of the end of many jokes, right, because of his last name. He announced his retirement effective December 31st, so he is stepping down. And then Devin Pritchard, who is the current executive vice president of revenue, marketing, and consumer experience at Nintendo of America, she will become president in 2026. So she's been with Nintendo since 2006. So she's coming up on 2 decades with the company, which is pretty awesome. Doug Bowser admittedly didn't have the same kind of presence and visibility that Reggie had, who was his predecessor. But I think he did some great things, and he certainly ushered in a successful Nintendo Switch 2 launch. So I appreciate everything that Doug Bowser has done for the company, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the new leadership might be reflected in how Nintendo continues to take their hardware and games to market. You know, Reggie had more of a presence on things like Nintendo Directs, and I'm curious, like, are we going to see Devin Pritchard show up more and have more FaceTime with actual Nintendo fans? So I'll keep a close eye on that one. This week is shaping up to be a really good one for Final Fantasy fans. So if you are appreciative of Final Fantasy VII and the Final Fantasy universe, we've got a new interview with Final Fantasy VII Remake director Naoki Hamaguchi. He did an interview with William Hillhorst for Nintendo World Report. I have the link in the show notes. So just a few highlights. He commended the Switch 2 hardware, and he said he expressed confidence that Part 2 and 3 will run totally fine. So there's been some concerns about that. If you've played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second one, you know that there's so much more open world areas, big, vast open world areas. And Hamaguchi said, and we've actually heard this before, that this is a good reason to go with a game key card, which is very controversial. But the transfer speeds when running from the internal storage are just higher than if you're running off of the actual game card. So you can enable better performance. So I think, we'll continue to see the Final Fantasy games run digitally through game key cards. He talked about some of the gameplay settings, like you can adjust the settings so that you never take damage, so that you deal 9,999 hit points for each hit. You can increase the speed of certain things. The phrase that he used in the interview is streamlined progression. And he said because this is the first of 3 games, he hopes that players, this is a quote, he hopes that players want to stay along for the long ride. So it seems like they're really optimizing this game for players like me who already played through the game and they just want to revisit some of the story beats, or for newcomers to the series so that they never feel stuck and they can just kind of get through the game and really experience what is the beginning of a pretty epic trilogy. So I'm excited for this. It was also announced in the interview that there will be a demo coming to Switch 2 later this year. And again, I'm really stoked for this one. I'll probably double dip. Despite having this game on PS4, I've never played the DLC. So I think I might double dip and just blow through the story and then experience the DLC. Reviews are also out for Final Fantasy Tactics, The Ivalice Chronicles, which arrives on September 30th, right around the corner. I've got this one pre-ordered. I pre-ordered a physical copy of the Switch 1 edition, and there's a free upgrade for the Switch 2 digital version. So you cannot go into a store and get the Switch 2 edition. You have to get the Switch 1 edition if you want it on an actual keycard, and then you'll unlock the Switch 2 one for free. So I like that. That's fine. I also have a Switch 1, so if I ever wanted to play on Switch 1 OLED, I could definitely do that, which is nice. Polygon's Jen Glennon wrote, somewhere between a remaster and a remake, Final Fantasy Tactics, The Ivalice Chronicles features fully voiced dialogue, adjustable difficulty levels, a more forgiving battlefield camera, and enhanced graphics that remain true to the spirit of the original. As someone who tried and failed to get into the PS1 version way back when. I finally understand what all the hype is about. Nintendo Life reviewed it, gave it a 9 out of 10. The joys from Nintendo Life: excellent graphical and gameplay enhancements, delicately implemented. Core turn-based combat is as good as ever, and still best in genre level stuff. Story is standout strong for the genre, full of emotion, twists, and turns. Quality of life changes make for a more approachable game, perfect for portable play, and top-notch voice acting. The cons: War of the Lions, which is the PSP game, content gets shelved, which is a big shame. And the soundtrack, while brilliant, hasn't seen any changes, which feels like a missed opportunity. Nintendo World Report also reviewed it and gave it a 9.5 out of 10, so lots of high praise. I've personally had some false starts with this game from PS1 to the War of the Lions, which I had on PSP. I had the touchscreen-enabled Android version at one point on a tablet and also on a cell phone, and I just couldn't get through maybe 4 or 5 hours of this game without maybe getting frustrated or feeling like I'm spending too much time on it. So I appreciate some of the difficulty adjustments that they might have. I know you're probably thinking just get good. I played through the full Game Boy Advance sequel a few years back, which is a totally different game, but I really enjoyed that one. And I like tactics games, so I'm definitely appreciative that this game is coming to Switch. Pre-ordered it, ready to go. Looking forward to actually getting through it this time. I'll link to these reviews in the show notes. In other Square Enix news, it is the Tokyo Game Show. It's happening right now, and there are Tokyo Game Show trailers out there for Octopath Zero, and The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, which we saw in the Nintendo Partner Direct. So I'll keep an eye out for more news and reveals. There's already a clip of Resident Evil Requiem running on Switch 2, I think handheld mode from Tokyo Game Show. So hopefully we'll see more news trickle out from that. The other big release right now, of course, is Hades 2. Hades 2 was released yesterday on PC, Mac, Switch, and Switch 2. The reviews for this game are so solid. Between Silksong and Hades 2, we've got a pair of stellar and affordable games on Switch 2 with a lot of replayability. So it's a good time to kind of be in between some of the AAA games and play through some of these smaller games. I say smaller, but they're pretty intense. Nintendo Life gave it a 9 out of 10. Alana Hagues writes, Supergiant Games is 5 for 5 with Hades 2, a huge triumphant sequel that manages to diverge mechanically and offer more challenges and variety than its predecessor. It helps that it's nearly faultless on Switch 2 in particular. Nintendo World Report gave it a 9 out of 10 too. Jordan Rudick writes, moving, dashing, attacking, and casting are all incredibly satisfying, and it's rare to see any video game so skillfully combine gameplay with aesthetic and story. Without a doubt, Hades 2 lives up to its predecessor and surpasses it in a number of ways. Destructoid gave it a 9.5, Eurogamer gave it a 5 out of 5, and IGN gave it the coveted 10 out of 10. Liana Hafer from IGN writes, how do you even sum up something as beautiful, special, memorable, and admirable as Hades 2? There is no one out there doing what Supergiant does as well as it does, and this exceptional action roguelite is some of this team's best work on nearly every level, which is an astonishingly high bar to clear. So I have no doubt that many of you will be cracking into Hades 2 this weekend. If you haven't already, I'll confess, I didn't play Hades 1. I couldn't tell you why I skipped over Hades 1 because I'm a huge fan of both Bastion and Transistor. I didn't play Pyre, but I like Supergiant Games. I played through those games. I love them. Do I need to play Hades 1 before 2? Probably. I'm thinking yes, so it might be some time before I get to this sequel. Speaking of sequels, Pac-Man World 2 Repack is also out on Switch 2. Nintendo Life gave that one a lesser 7 out of 10. EA Sports FC 26 is out on Switch 2. I didn't catch any reviews yet, so I'll keep looking. I'll report back. Sega announced that Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties will come to Switch 2 on the 12th of February 2026. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to talk about Pokemon Z through A. Pokemon Z through A had a media blitz of final previews this week. I'll link to a preview roundup from Nintendo Life in the show notes, though, if you want to check it out, if you're excited for this game. Are you picking up any of these new games? Let me know on Blue Sky, Switch2Pod, switch2pod.com for all the things. A kind rating or review goes a long way as I continue to grow the show. Recommending the show to a friend or a Reddit community or a Discord community goes even further. So I want to thank you so much. Thank you for your time and your attention. I hope that you have a great weekend. I'm going to take my new 8BitDo N64 controller that I picked up on Amazon for a spin. I'm going to play through some N64 games on Nintendo Switch Online while I wait for Final Fantasy Tactics to release. I'm excited for that. I'll be back on Tuesday. Until then, much love. Now go play some games.